I'm John White. With me today is Lloyd Davis. Lloyd is a master gardener here in Doñana County. Lloyd, we've got some problems.
Yes, John.
Got some interesting stuff there.
I have, and I hate to admit this, but as a master gardener, but all of this came from my garden.
Uh-oh.
We have several Pittisporum plants. A year ago, we had this problem, and I discovered it, got it under control, and looking around this last week, I looked under some of the branches down close to the ground where it's moist and so on, and here I found it again. I think this is a scale insect.
Right.
I sprayed with orthene. Now, you better tell me whether I'm right.
Okay. What you do have here is a Cottony cushion scale, very, very common on Pittisporum. This is a dwarf one, but you can find them on dwarf ones or the full-grown ones. So very common. Again, insecticide, probably some kind of summer oil would also help. So you can use dormant oil at a half rate. That's a summer oil, and that will help to get a lot of this under control. So that would be my recommendation on it.
Very good. I'll do that this afternoon.
Okay.
Well, now I've got a vegetable garden, and I've been farming it for 8 years. We've grown wonderful melons each year. This year, this is what I've got.
Uh-oh.
Until a month ago, they were growing beautifully. Then all of a sudden, they start going downhill, all 6 hills. There's some leaves on them that look like this. I pulled up one plant so I could show you the roots, and there weren't any there.
Okay.
And I pulled up a dead plant, and I got this miserable-looking root. I assume I've got some kind of root rot, but this looks to me like nematodes.
It does look like nematodes, and I've had some other samples that have come in where we've had some pretty heavy nematode infection. These roots are pretty well shot, rotted, but you can see the enlargement on the roots, knotting and galling. That is caused by root knot nematode that hits the root tissue and causes some irregular cell growth, and then it basically shuts a lot of the water and nutrient flow off to the top part of the plant. So I think a lot of your problem probably is root knot nematode. Next year you can add a lot of organic matter to the soil. There is a organic nematicide that is a chitin-based nematicide that you can use, and maybe that'll help also, but I'd rotate some crops around so that you aren't planting in the same area every year.
This year in the spring, I put on a nematode that's supposed to kill root knot nematode. And the rest of my garden, I found no nematodes. But in this particular area, I must have done an inadequate job of taking care of them.
Okay. What else do you have here?
Well, my wife likes to grow Gladiolas.
Okay.
These came up, grew nicely, never bloomed. You can see what's happening. The roots seem to have all rotted off. However, some new roots have apparently started to grow.
Yeah.
What have I got? Some
I'd say
soil problem causing root decay?
Without real laboratory inspection on these, there is a little bit of a rot or decay on the bottom of them. Like you said, you are getting some regrowth on them. There are a lot of soil insects that will bother a lot of our corms and bulbs in the soil. Wireworms are one, grubworms are another one. Plus there are some soil diseases like fusarium and some of the root rots that will bother it. But since you got some regrowth, that's good. But I would guess probably maybe a wireworm or something that kind of started to feed on it, and you got some bacteria in it, and it began to rot. Yeah. Pulling these off, trying to dry them out, and kind of go through the soil. If you see any wireworms or grubs in there, then go ahead and treat for those. But I'd probably send these samples in to the pathology lab at New Mexico State, and probably have them check to see if there is some kind of possible soil disease in there.
Okay. Next year, you'd suggest we either don't plant them or plant them in a different part of the garden, probably.
Well, let's see what you got in there. If it's an
Okay.
insect problem, it can be treated. If it's a disease problem, depending on the disease, you might also be able to treat it with just a fungicide, and they'll do fine.
Okay, I planted my snap beans mid-April. They grew beautifully. We harvested a few beans, and now they're going downhill rapidly. When I pulled them up, I thought surely I'd find nematodes, but I see no sign of those.
Mm-mm.
Have I got a bean disease?
Okay, your beans, if they were planted in April, they're probably just shot for the year.
Dying of old age.
Yeah, they're out of gas. This one does have a little bit of a crop on it yet, but
Yes.
beans do not last through the entire year, and especially with the heat here in southern New Mexico. But they should be planted out. You'll get a harvest somewhere, depending on the variety, 45 to 60 days after planting, and then usually you have about a 2-week harvest period. And
Yes.
so beans, we like to do successive planting, and
So it's
fall is an excellent time to grow beans. So
about time now to plant my fall crop.
right.
Okay, I'll do that. I thought these were dying of old age. I'm glad you confirmed my suspicion.
Okay. Well, Lloyd, thank you very much for bringing samples today, and hope we've helped you a little bit.
Thank you, John.